address the office manager gave me over the phone, an anonymous office complex at the far limit of the Red Line, past Harvard and Porter, where Cambridge gave out entirely, lapsed into empty lots and restaurants on the wrong side of Alewife Brook Parkway, and then into wetlands, brackish water, and protected species like sweet flag and pickerel weed. Beyond the wetlands were the forested hills and the suburbs Arlington and Belmont and Newton, where I grew up. Alewife was built to be the point of exchange between Cambridge and the true suburbs. It was also home to the acres of office space demanded by high-tech companies spun off from academic research and funded by the Department of Defense, IT training schools, human resources offices, real estate companies, and tax attorneys. Coming back here felt like I'd made it to the big city and was now on the verge of drifting back out into the nowhere beyond. This was where Black Art Studios set up shop. This particular building was apparently designed in the early 80s, while the Department of Defense was still funding blue sky tech companies. The heavy glass doors led into a 3-story lobby and courtyard with a fountain, pastel Mediterranean tiling, and incongruous broad-leafed faux tropical foliage. It had a humid, greenhouse smell, even in the oddly chilly spring of 1997. The frosted skylights let in a perpetually dim half-light. About half the office space looked empty. Black Arts was on the 3rd floor. There was no sign or number on the door, so I wandered back and forth along the balcony until I saw a piece of paper with Black Arts written in black magic marker taped to the inside of a glass window, reinforced with chicken wire. There was no doorbell. Through the square of glass, I could see an empty reception area, and behind it, an open doorway leading to a dimly lit office. I wasn't exactly comfortable in a job interview, and what made it worse was I already knew these people. Pretty well, actually. We'd met when we were in high school together, 14 years ago. Now, I would be asking them for work, in the company they started. Darren and Simon were the co-founders. They'd been friends since as long as anyone could remember. Simon I remembered as small and dark-haired, round-faced, with olive skin that never seemed to see the sunlight. He wore checkered shirts and corduroys and never seemed to quite come into an adult body. At 15, he could have passed for 12. He was supposed to be smart, but for some reason didn't take any advanced classes. Pathetic, but so dorky as to almost round the corner into menacing. People claimed he built pipe bombs and had hacked a kid's grades on the school computer once. They laughed at him, but not to his face. Darren was taller and horse-faced and passably athletic. He ran track one year, but when he got to high school, he grew his hair out, dropped the athletics and the honors classes, found an old army jacket, and wore it all the time. They were a fixture, short and tall, 2 different flavors of loser. You'd see them walking home every day, Simon's hands shaping the air. What did they talk about? Comics? Movies? Inside jokes held over from the 4th grade? Another teen friendship, another tiny, mysterious universe. I met them in an intro to programming class, and 6 years later they were legends. The 2 burnout kids who founded a computer game company and got rich. But even the money wasn't as alluring as the idea that they'd made video games their jobs. Even before anybody knew that games were going to turn into an industry, an entertainment medium as big as the movies. Bigger, if you believed some people. Simon and Darren made money out of, well, being awesome, essentially. Dawn and Lisa went with them too. Got rich. Stayed. Won. Meanwhile, I went on to an English degree, a year of law school, an internship at a doomed newspaper in Dallas, sublets in Cambridge, Queens, Somerville, San Francisco, a new start, Austin, Madison, and imminently, nowhere. Simon never graduated from college. He was killed 4 years ago, in a ridiculous accident that resulted in security cameras being placed inside all the elevator shafts of all the buildings on that particular campus. He wasn't even a student there. People were already starting to talk about him as a genius.